Konnichiwa! Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Nihongo Master podcast. It's Azra, your host, and we're stripping it down to one of the basics for this week's Study Saturday. We're looking at how to conjugate to the negative form. It's one of the first few conjugations, if not the first, that you learn of the Japanese language. For those of you who don't already know, Study Saturday language series breaks down Japanese grammar points in a fun and easy way. These bite-sized language learning episodes are formatted just like the Nihongo Master online learning system. We start out by explaining the grammar point, and then exemplifying them with a few example situations, and lastly wrapping it up with a list of vocabulary words we just learned in the episode. So, after this episode, if you learned a new thing or two of the Japanese language, I recommend signing up for our program. Listen carefully in the next couple of minutes for a unique discount code exclusively in the podcast. They'll get you 50% off your entire subscription. But for now, let's get into this week's grammar. The negative form is one of the most important conjugations, without a doubt. Don't you think so? I should have covered this sooner. But hey, better late than never. We'll take a look at conjugating verbs, adjectives, and nouns to the negative forms. We'll start out with verbs. Before anything else, you need to know the difference between verbs and verbs. If you don't know, check out Season 9, Episode 4 for a full rundown. We actually covered the negative form of verbs in that episode too, but we'll go into detail here. Anyway, verbs are verbs that end with the hiragana ru. Verbs are those that end with the u sound. Be careful, some words that end with ru are actually verbs. Now, ru and verbs negate differently. For verbs, it's actually straightforward. You take the ru out and replace it with nai for informal, or masen for formal. The format is verb without ru plus nai, informal. Verb without ru plus masen, formal. For example, miru, which means to see, becomes minai. For the formal, it becomes mimasen. Super simple, right? Now, it's the verbs that are tricky. You take the sound and replace it with a, then add nai for the informal. For the formal, you change the ending sound to e, then add masen. The format is verb without plus a plus nai, informal. Verb without plus e plus masen, formal. For example, kaku, which means to write, becomes kaka, then kakanai, for informal. For the formal, it changes from kaku to kaki, then kakimasen. Before we end, there are a few irregular verbs. Suru, to do, becomes shinai or shimasen. Kuru, to come, becomes konai or kimasen. Oh, there's one exception to the negation, and that's the verb aru, to have. Its negation becomes nai for informal, whereas it follows the same format for formal. Arimasen. Moving on to adjectives. We first look at e-adjectives. This is when the adjective ends with an e hiragana. For this one, you take out the e, then add kunai. The format is e-adjective without e plus kunai. If you want to make it formal, just add des. Alternatively, you can add ku arimasen. The format is e-adjective without e plus ku arimasen. For example, samui, to mean cold, becomes samu, then samukunai, not cold. The formal form is samuku arimasen. Now we move on to the na adjectives, which conjugates the same as nouns as well. So we'll categorize them together. For na adjectives, we take away the na, then add janai for the informal. For nouns, just add janai. Format is na adjective without na, or nouns plus janai. For the formal, you can also just add des at the end. Alternatively, you can add dewa arimasen to nouns and na adjectives without na. The format is na adjectives without na, or nouns plus dewa arimasen. For example, yume na, to mean famous, becomes yume, then becomes yume janai. For the formal, it becomes yume dewa arimasen. Let's have another example for a noun. Nihonjin, which means Japanese person, becomes Nihonjin janai for the informal. For formal, it's Nihonjin de wa arimasen. And we're done. Let's recap quickly, shall we? The conjugation for negative forms varies depending on the type of word. For ru verbs, you take out the ending ru, then add nai, or masen for formal. For u verbs, you take out the ending u, then add anai, or imasen for formal. For adjectives, you take out the ending i, then add kunai, or ku arimasen for formal. For non-adjectives and nouns, you add janai, or de wa arimasen for formal. Now, before we get into the role-playing scenarios, here's a promo code you all have been waiting for. Plug in our podcast exclusive code for this season, Japan Summer, JAPANSUMMER, for a 50% off your entire subscription for as long as you're with us. You'll be able to learn Japanese at any time of the day, anywhere in the world, for just $10 a month. Okay, moving on. Our next section is where we have 2 role-playing scenarios exemplifying the new grammar we just learned. The first one is with an English translation, and the second one has a short quiz for you to challenge yourself with. First up, we have friends Sasha and Kana catching up over the weekend. Kana-chan, こっちこっち。久しぶり。わー、Kana-chan めっちゃ可愛いね、今。元気そう。久しぶり、サシャ。いやいや、化粧したから。サシャはどう？新しい仕事があるよね。前の仕事は楽しくなかった。みんなめっちゃ厳しかったよ。そう？大変だったね。私の仕事は楽しくないけど、問題もがない。いいね。かなちゃんのオフィスは家から遠いか？遠くない。近いよ。10分ぐらいかかる。サシャは？近い。私は1時間かかるよ。でも家からは直通列車だから大丈夫だと思う。それはね、大丈夫だよね。Now let's have a listen at the English translation. Hey Kana-chan, over here. It's been a while. Wow, you are so cute now, Kana-chan. You look well. It's been a while, Sasha. Oh no, it's because I put on makeup. How about you, Sasha? You have a new job, right? Yeah, the previous job was not fun. Everyone was very strict. Oh really? It must have been tough. My work is not fun, but there's no problems. That's good. Is your office far from home? It's not far. It's near. Takes about 10 minutes. What about you, Sasha? Wow, that's near. I take an hour, but it's a straight train from my home, so it's okay. It's fine if that's the case. Moving on to the next role-playing scenario, we have Satoshi and Miyane coming back to work after the weekend. Satoshi-kun, 週末はどうでしたか？何か楽しいことをしましたか？
おはようみやねさん。別に、ただリラックスしていました。みやさんは？
それもいいですね。私も特別なところには行きませんでした。でも高校の友達と会いました。
みやねさんはまだ高校の友達と連絡を取り合っていますね。僕はしません。
なんでですか？
特別理由はありません。でも僕の大学の友達はまだ連絡を取り合っていますよ。
それは大丈夫ですね。ごめん、おしゃべりすぎです。サトシ君は今仕事で忙しいに違いないですね。
全然忙しくないですよ。
Now we have 3 quiz questions for you to challenge yourself with. First question. What did Satoshi do over the weekend? Second question. What did Miyane do over the weekend? Third question. Which friends are Satoshi still in contact with, and which friends he's not in contact with anymore? Answer check. The first question's answer is Satoshi just relaxed over the weekend. The second question's answer is Miyane met up with her high school friends. The third question's answer is Satoshi is not in contact with his high school friends anymore, but is still in contact with his university friends. Let's wrap it up with a quick vocab recap. Miru, to see. Kaku, to write. Suru, to do. Kuru, to come. Samui, cold. Yumi, famous. Nihonjin, Japanese person. Kochi, here. Kashou, makeup. Atarashi, new. Shigoto, job. Mae, previous. Kibishi, strict. Taihen, tough or terrible. Tanushi, fun. Mondai, problem. Toi, far. Chikai, near. Kakaru, to take time. Chokutsu, direct. Shumatsu, weekend. Betsuni, nothing special. Tokubetsu, special. Koukou, high school. Tomodachi, friend. Renraku o toriao, to keep in touch. Daigaku, university. Shaberu, to chat or talk. Isogashi, busy. And that wraps up our quick rundown of the negative forms in Japanese. It's definitely a fundamental conjugation, don't you agree? What other fundamental conjugations would you like us to cover in these Study Saturday episodes? Tell us your thoughts by commenting on our social media platforms. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Also, if you're interested in similar bite-sized grammar pointers, head over to the Nihongo Master blog for more. And if you're keen on picking up some more Japanese for yourself, pop onto our official website, nihongomaster.com, to learn more about our interactive online learning system. At Nihongo Master, we offer efficient Japanese lessons that are quick, easy, and fun for Japanese language learners of all levels, from beginners to advanced. Our smart tools will assist you in areas where you need a bit of a push and congratulate you on the ones you aced. Get a subscription today and get a head start on your Nihongo journey with Nihongo Master. Now, if you missed the promo code early on, we'll say it again now. Plug in Japan Summer, JAPANSUMMER, at checkout to get 50% off your entire subscription forever. Yep, your monthly or yearly subscription is half off using this podcast exclusive code. So go on, sign up now. And thank you so much for listening in. Join me next time. We'll be looking at an interesting part of the Japanese language. Mata ne!